Hi everyone. Happy Friday. Hopefully I'm coming through okay. My microphone testing looked a little wonky. If you can see and hear me okay, will you like this video, please? Before I get into it, I would hate to get through this and realize no one could hear me. If you can see me and hear me, even if you're just scrolling on by, will you give this a like, please? Facebook loves to throw you for a curveball as soon as you awesome. I'm getting a couple likes. Okay. They love to throw you curveballs right when you go live, which is always fun. Okay, good. You can see me, you can hear me. Good news. Really happy that you guys are here today. Talking about one of my favorite topics, and a topic that I've really fleshed out over the last year or so in working with clinicians. Really kind of developed a point of view and a framework for how you can think about your niche. And then I've tested it. I've tested the heck out of it, and I've seen it work. So that's good news. So that's what we're going to be chatting about today. If you are joining me live, will you say hello in the comments and let me know where you're joining from, please? I would love to hear from you. If you are down in the Southeast, if you're in the Florida, Carolina region, we're thinking about you. I hope that you and your loved ones are safe. I know it's been a really difficult week in that regard, so please know that the Get Booked Out family is thinking about you. And if you made the time to join us, whether you're down there or elsewhere, I'm just really happy that you're here. If it's the first time that you're catching one of these Friday trainings, hi, I'm really happy you're here. My name is Anna Walker. I run this group. I get to hang out and get booked out every single day. And everything that we do here inside of this group is about helping you do two things. Is to help you market your practice in a way that is authentic and in a way that is effective. There's a lot of slimy marketing tactics out there. There are a lot of things that you may have run into. You're like, that doesn't feel right. We're not about that here. I want you to market yourself in a way that you feel really proud of and that gets you results. Everything that we do here is focused on helping you grow your private pay caseload. You may currently take insurance. Wonderful. I'm glad that you do that. That is a-okay. You can still use all of these techniques. If your goal is to be private pay or to grow the private pay part of your practice, that is very much what this group is all about and what we're going to be talking about today. Excellent. We have St. Louis. Hi, Kat. Kat, our New Hampshire friends. Joanne, Texas, Alabama. Excellent. Cape Cod. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Great. We have a good crew here. Caitlin, South Florida. Again, I hope that you and your loved ones are safe and okay. I would love your interaction as I go through today's training. I have a couple questions for you. If you have questions for me, guess what? You can drop those into the comments. If you're catching the replay of this, I would still love to address your questions. Drop a hashtag replay followed by your question, and I will be able to come back and speak to those things. So this is an interactive session. The benefit of you being here live is that you get to hear from me live, and so I will pause at the end of my training to address your questions and make sure you feel really good about your niche. So I said I was going to have questions for you, and I do as we get started. I'm curious for you, what is the hardest part of choosing a niche? The hardest part of choosing a niche, if you had to just summarize it, what's the hardest part? Tell me. Wait for those, because I know it's tough, and if you're here, chances are you've struggled with that a little bit maybe. But what's the hardest part of it for you? Let's make sure my comments are coming through okay. Feel like I'm limiting myself. How to word it? Yeah, because guess what? You probably love to do a whole bunch of different things, right? You're capable of serving a whole bunch of different types of clients. And how do you do that without feeling like you have to close off a part of your expertise or a group of clients you love to work with? How to word it clearly and concisely. Fear of choosing the wrong one, sure. Joanne is like focused on her EMDR work, and I've actually watched her niche come to life, and I can tell you that it's amazing. So yeah, not limiting yourself, right? Probably enjoying a lot of different types of clients and not wanting to have to pigeonhole yourself. Not knowing how to word it. I know I like to do this type of work, but like, how do you describe that? Because describing it is so important if we're actually going to market it. So we're absolutely going to be talking about those types of things here. Beth, there's so much within a niche. Absolutely, right? There's a lot of different things that you can do inside of it. And so how do you sort of assign a description or an umbrella term to that? Wanting to see a diversity of clients. Yes, Amber, I'm so glad you're here. That's exactly what we're talking about. Um, Excellent. Well, I want to make sure that we're all really clear on why this is so important. You are told if you go into private practice, whether it's from me or from someone else out there, whether you're listening to podcasts, joining Facebook groups, reading blog posts, talking to people, they all tell you need to pick a niche. But why? But why? Why is a niche so important? Your niche is what communicates to your client. And remember, we are really, really focused on bringing in those full fee clients here in this group. And that's where I test my strategies. But your niche is what communicates to that private pay client that you are specialized, that you are someone who can help them, that you are not a generalist. Being a generalist is a-okay. That's a perfectly fine thing. But what we know about the behavior of many private pay and full fee clients is that they're looking for you to specialize in some element of them, right? And there's a whole lot of kind of psychology around why that happens. But the fact is, you need to have some sort of focus in your marketing. You may have heard the saying before, if you try to attract everyone, you'll attract no one. So you have to figure out, who am I trying to attract, so that we can call those people in, instead of trying to be everything to everyone, in which case you'll just end up with kind of a watered down message and therefore marketing that doesn't really resonate with the people that you really love to work with. So this does begin, and I think most of you know this, but it's worth saying that choosing a niche does begin with you getting really clear on what it is, on the work that you love to do. From what I've seen be true and be effective for clinicians, especially in the private pay space, their niche is not some magic formula or magic process they went through. Their niche is simply them putting into words the work they do best. So we have to start there. And there are some great trainings here in the group regarding niching and sort of identifying your ideal client and that kind of thing. But you've got to know, even if you don't know how to articulate it, you have to know, who do I do my best work with? What clients do get the best outcomes? Who am I excited to see on my caseload or on my calendar for that day? What lights me up, and where do I shine as a clinician? Because that is where your niche can and should start. Now, if that means that you serve a variety of different people, great, you're in the right place. That's what we're going to talk about. So I want to share a little bit of a personal example with you as I was putting together sort of my notes for this training. Very recently, I began a search for a new therapist. I haven't seen anyone since I had my daughter, and that was a very specific kind of time in my life. I'm not so much needing like the perinatal support. I was actually looking, believe it or not, for someone who could help me work through some of the elements of being an entrepreneur. Of running this business and some of the nuances of that. And so I went looking. I'm happy to pay someone. I actually don't even know if my insurance allows me to use it for therapy, believe it or not. Like I'm comfortable going ahead and paying someone. And so I'm a private pay client, right? And I went searching for someone who could help me work through this. Now, there were therapists, a couple, here in the Nashville area that specialized in entrepreneurs. And obviously that just jumped right off the page at me. There weren't a lot, but there are a couple. But I was also open to people who worked with moms, especially working moms, women, or just like kind of the nuances of being a woman, in which case there are lots of those here in the Nashville area. I was also open to people who specialize in kind of identity, boundary, work-life balance work. I was also very open to someone who might kind of specialize in like high achievers, go-getters. I definitely identify with those terms. For better or for worse some days. Also really looking for someone who was going to help me get to the root of the issue. I'm a person who wants to understand why. I'm not just interested in like getting like feeling better. I'm the person who wants to dig in and like, where did I get this? Why am I this way? Like that level of understanding is so freeing for me. And so that's something I was looking for. So yeah, I was headed to therapy, in search of someone who could support me through some of the nuances of owning and running a business. But there are a lot of other things that I was open to as well, because they were different facets of the care I was looking for and the support I was looking for. So what you can learn from that story is that your ideal client, I'm not saying I'm your ideal client, but I am someone's ideal client. Your ideal client is multifaceted, right? You're allowed to be multifaceted too. Your niche doesn't have to be limiting. Your niche can be specializing in a whole bunch of different things. All that matters is that you know how to describe it. That's all it comes down to. And so I hope that's maybe freeing for you in a way that, yeah, you can maintain variety and you can see a bunch of different types of people. You just have to know how to say it. So, the name of this training, right, is the 4 kinds of therapy niches. And so I want to walk you through each of those right now. These 4 groups are kind of the framework that I mentioned at the beginning of the training that I've sort of developed over the last year, especially. Over the last year, I have supported over 100 clinicians inside my marketing mentorship, Confident Copy, where I've worked really closely with them. I've written and supported in some regard over 75 clinicians in a one-on-one capacity in the last year. And so I've been really close to the marketing process, and just about every single one of those folks is private pay only. And through that, I've sort of been able to distill out these 4 types of niches. These 4 types of niches are ways you can talk about your practice and the work that you do in a way that's going to resonate with clients that are willing and able to pay your full fee if that is your goal. So I just want to kind of preface that to let you know sort of where I came to how I came to these 4 niches. And I hope as we walk through them, one of them, or maybe a couple, start to get those gears turning. And like I said, I am very, very happy to review the comments once I finish this and maybe support you in fleshing this out. But as I go through these, think about call to your mind the types of clients that you really love to work with. Maybe you have a couple on your caseload right now. Maybe there are some from your memory that you just sort of return to, but hold in your mind a couple of those clients that you really love. And then let's start looking at what is consistent across all of them. Maybe one of those clients is a young adult and another one is a mom. And so it feels like, well, how can I do both of those things? Let's look at the common denominator between those things. That's the goal here. So without further ado, the 4 different kinds of therapy niches. Number 1 is specializing in a type of person. A type of person. I mentioned as I was looking for a therapist recently, I was looking for someone who might specialize in entrepreneurs, but I recognized that was pretty niche. But I was also open to women, working moms. Different types of people you can specialize in can be a type of person, a compassionate professional. I helped a clinician niche herself around the idea of working with compassionate professionals. And underneath that were like medical professionals, nurses, teachers, therapists, caregivers, all kinds of things. High achieving women, moms, the LGBTQIA plus community. A type of person can sometimes be a really great niche. So maybe you realize as you look and kind of hold those ideal clients in your mind, they're all women of a similar age, or they're all kind of have this quality about them. They're all high achievers. They're all super type A goal oriented people, whatever that is. Sometimes you can specialize in a type of person, and then whatever that person comes in with, you can help them with. And so you can still maintain all that awesome variety, but you get to call in the people you do your best work with. So that's a good one. The next one is problem. You can specialize in a type of problem. And of course, we don't like to think about the things that people come in with necessarily as problems, but it's a nice way to name a niche. And this is sort of that traditional niching kind of, idea. Well, I guess I'm a trauma therapist. So you can certainly specialize in a problem. That might be grief. That might be anxiety. Maybe you are an anxiety expert. And underneath that, you work with people of different age groups. You work with different types of anxiety. Maybe you are a trauma clinician and you work with people who recognize they have trauma and want to work on it. And you have multiple different ways of doing that. Maybe you are a grief therapist. We have someone in Confident Copy right now who specializes in grief. I've supported multiple clinicians one-on-one who specialize in this area. Chronic illness, I've seen that, medical diagnoses, all kinds of things, a specific type of problem. That can be really helpful as well as you think about a way to sort of focus your marketing. And like I said, that's kind of the more traditional way of thinking about a niche, but not the only one. The next one, number 3, as far as the different types of therapy niches go, is a specific type of outcome. This is one of my favorite ones. This is when you look at all of the different clients that you love to work with and you realize, you know what, they're all looking for this. Like no matter how they come in or who they are or what they're struggling with when they enter therapy, they're looking for this. Sometimes you can specialize in that. I was actually just coaching a confident copy clinician on our group call yesterday on this, and she realized, you know what? All of my clients want to feel seen and understood. Guess what? You're allowed to specialize in helping people feel seen and understood. You're allowed to call that your niche because you said it, because you put words to it. And so if that's what that person is looking for, then holy cow, you've jumped off the page. Maybe you specialize in long-term change. I've helped a clinician actually specialize in that very thing, and her practice is thriving. She's actually scaling into a group next year. We're going to be working together on that, but she specializes in therapy for long-term change. Super clear, right? And still allows her to have a whole bunch of variety on the front end there. Maybe you help people regain control. Maybe you realize as you look at what all of your ideal clients have in common that they have this desire to just help, like, get their life back, sort of, or regain a sense of control over their life. Maybe that's due to anxiety, maybe that's due to loss, or big life changes, whatever that is, but that's what they're looking for. Great, you're allowed to specialize in that. An outcome niche can be a really freeing way if you're early on in your practice and you don't yet know what it is that you love to do, or you really do want to stay a little bit more broad as far as the types of work and treatment you can do. An outcome niche can be really helpful. And then last but not least, so we've had person, problem, outcome. The last type of therapy niche that I've seen be really useful, specifically in the private pay space, is an approach. Now, if you look at the first three niches, problem, people, outcome, these are all elements of your client, right? The person they are, the problem they're coming in with, the outcome that they want to get out of therapy. Then there's the approach, and this is more about what you offer or the environment you create. You can specialize in that. If you have a unique point of view, if you offer something that other clinicians don't, you all offer something no one else does. That's what makes you amazing. But if you can put words to that and you realize it's something that your client is looking for, you can also specialize in that. So maybe it's holistic counseling. Maybe it's the fact that we're going to look at everything, mind, body, spirit. Maybe you take just a non-traditional approach. Just everything about you is non-traditional. That in and of itself can be a specialty and be a niche. Maybe, I mentioned you loved, maybe in the people one, you worked with like super goal-oriented type A people. Maybe your approach is very structured and goal-oriented. Maybe you do CBT and you attract the people that want that. You're allowed to specialize in that. Maybe this is such a simple one, but maybe you just offer therapy that's relatable, that doesn't feel stuffy, that's not awkward. That can be a niche. So it doesn't have to be this like super limiting, hole that you've, or like, set of walls you've built around yourself. Like it can actually just be a description of what it is that you provide your clients and something that they're looking for. What's important here though is that your approach aligns with something that your client is looking for. Right? So when you think about what are they seeking, what do they value in a therapist, we want to make sure that your approach aligns to that in order to be a compelling niche. So the 4 types of therapy niches. Number 1, person, a type of person. Maybe that's a demographic, a specific, quality of person, whatever that is. Problem, outcome, or approach. Those are the 4 different therapy niches that I've seen be successful. And all it really comes down to is going through this exercise of looking at those ideal clients you love to work with, determining what's the common thread, I call it the red thread, amongst them, and then putting words to it. Choosing one of these that feels like, you know what, that is the common denominator here, and then putting it into words. Well, that's the first step, right? Then what, right? Then we inject that into your marketing. Then someone lands on your website and they know exactly what your niche is. And they realize, oh my gosh, she specializes in the outcome I am looking for. Or wow, she offers the holistic counseling, big picture support that I know I need. Right? Then we put it into your marketing. Then they land on your Psych Today profile and they know exactly what it is that you offer and how you offer it. Or you speak to another clinician your ideal client speaks to another clinician. They're like, oh my gosh, you have to talk to Anna. She specializes in working with the LGBTQIA plus community. She gets it. Boom. Everything's more focused. So we figure out what that niche is, we put words to it, and then we inject it into your marketing. That is what needs to happen in order to bring in those full fee clients. And it's what I've seen work for booking out private pay caseloads. Now, if you need help doing this, I've mentioned it here in the training today, but Confident Copy is exactly where we do this. So we figure out what your niche is, we wrestle with it with you, we help you articulate and massage it and refine it until it feels like it's the true North Star of your marketing. And then you learn and you are supported through bringing that to life in places like your website, your Psych Today, and make sure all of it is Google friendly. So we go figure out the person that's looking to feel seen and understood. Yeah, what are they typing into Google? How do we bring those two things together? That's what happens inside of Confident Copy. You get to do it with me, with my copy coach, Stephanie, and with the other amazing students inside the program. It's really, really wonderful. You can learn everything that you could possibly want to learn about Confident Copy at walkerstrategyco.com/cc, the letter CC. We would love to have you join us. It's good work that's happening inside of there. But if nothing else, pick one of these groups. Think about this, go through this exercise, and start identifying what are the common denominators here and how can I start bringing this into your marketing? Because that is where you will start to see the transformation happen. All right, I've seeing some good questions coming through here. I'm going to scroll up to the top. All right. Confident Copy is a good program. Thank you, Joanne. Virginia, yes, this is recorded. You're absolutely welcome. Kat said, amazing program. I'm not going to sell my soul for it, but close. Kat's crushing it inside of Confident Copy. It's so fun. Sophia, can you choose 2 types, such as outcome and approach? Absolutely. Maybe you specialize in helping young adults feel seen and understood or something like that. There's absolutely, this is a framework to think about, but it's not a formula. It's not perfect. So maybe you're realizing as you go through this exercise, Sophia, that there is an outcome that I really offer, but that my clients are looking for, but there's also an approach that I help get there. Great. How can we bring those 2 things together in a statement and in your marketing that feels really cohesive? All right, Kat, I already put my niche, but as I've been writing my copy, I'm rethinking it. I can see a niche in all these areas you just named. How do I pick which type of niche to put out there? I thought of something very clear for all 4 types you stated. Absolutely, Kat, that's a good question. And chances are you can you can probably group yourself, under each of these. If you're like, we have to pick an outcome niche, you could probably come up with one. I think it comes down to is which one's the most client friendly? So, Kat, I know that the work that you do is with people in recovery. That is still the most, to me, compelling niche, regardless of the problem that person is coming in with, regardless of even the outcome. That's what's going to make you appear like the specialist your clients are looking for. So if you're kind of wrestling with which one's the best fit for me, think of which one is my client most going to value, or which one is really going to exert my expertise the most. So I hope that's helpful for you, Kat. I hope that was helpful. Let's see. Aren't all of these touched on when writing an entire website or Psych Today profile, problem statement, what it's like to work with me, modalities? Absolutely, Beth. Thanks for asking that. This is not to say that you don't also, maybe you have an outcome one. It's not to say that you also don't talk about the people that you work with or the problems that you help. You're 100% right. We do absolutely, especially as part of the Confident Copy process, touch on each of these. What's important, though, is that at the top level of your marketing, when it comes to stating, when someone asks you what kind of clinician you are or what you do, you have a clear way of articulating that. Now, in your marketing, kind of the bigger picture, absolutely, we're going to touch on all of these and then some. But when it comes to niching yourself and articulating that, that's where we can really pick one of these. Yeah. Yes, Michelle, absolutely. She covers all of those as well. Good questions here. Any other questions about this? Has this been helpful for you as you think about niching? Awesome. Good. Glad to hear it. Good. Any other questions I can help answer? My niche is helping helpers, specifically with burnout. I liked the reframe of compassionate professionals to broaden that scope a little bit. Awesome. Caitlin, I love that. Helping helpers and burnout. I think there's a whole ton of potential for a really compelling niche there that still allows you to do have a little bit of that variety. Sounds like you're looking for. I work in an EAP right now and seem to attract clients that all have codependence big time. I've dealt with mine and am pretty in control. Is this a niche? Absolutely. Your niche is anything that your clients are looking for. Period. And that's one thing that I hope you can take away from this training is that your niche can be broad, it can be narrow, it can be, you know, loosey goosey, it can be tightened up. But as long as it's something your client is looking for and it describes the work you do well, then perfect. Then it's a sign that that is a viable niche for you. Very helpful. What about the actual marketing on social media, etc.? Hillary, good question. Social media is a great tool. In what I've seen be true for private pay clinicians, it is not the thing that moves the needle in your marketing. So I'm not sure exactly what you say when you say or what you mean when you say actual marketing, but the kind of process and framework that I've seen work for marketing in general is this solid niche that we're working on. Everything we do is grounded in that. A really clear, Google-friendly website that is converting folks that way. Leaning into directories, Psych Today, I'm a big fan of Psych Today, even for private pay clinicians, and networking. Social media, ads, email marketing, all those kinds of things, in my perspective and what I've seen be true, is sort of a cherry on top, not something that I recommend starting with when it comes to your marketing. Also, I seem to be really, really good at creating a connection and rapport with clients. Is there some kind of niche hidden in there? I'm sure there is. That's something that would be really fun to excavate and sort of dig into with you, inside of Confident Copy or something like that. What's important, though, is that your niche is something your clients are looking for. And so I'm good at creating connection, rapport with clients. Great. How do we put that in a way that meets them at their point of need before meeting you? So that we would have to kind of wrestle with that, but I absolutely think there's something good in there. Is there such a thing as too many niches? I like using imagery and analogies along with helping helpers and burnout. Will that be too much or confusing to clients? Not necessarily, Caitlin. It really just comes down to communicating it in a clear and concise way. And so figuring out a statement that articulates the work that you do and then fleshing all of that out in the rest of your marketing. So I think there probably is such thing as too many niches, but you can have a lot of different points of view and still feel focused in your marketing, if that makes sense. So great questions here. I'm glad to see all of you kind of thinking about this in a new way, and hopefully you're walking away, if nothing else, with something new to kind of noodle on when it comes to your marketing. Like I said, Confident Copy is where we get to do this work together. So if you're looking for support with not just your niche, but the rest of your marketing, the SEO that you hear everyone talk about, the website copy, the Psych Today, all those kinds of things, that's something we'd love to help you with. So I'll drop the link to Confident Copy in the comments of this video once we wrap up, and you're welcome to check it out. You're also, of course, welcome to drop questions below. And Anna, in my brain moment, I can add the explanation of my other 3 types of niches in my copy. Exactly. Yep. Awesome. And then Beth and Caitlin are making some connections in the comments. Wonderful. I love to see that. Alrighty. I hope this has been useful for you, friends. Thanks for joining me for this one. I appreciate all of you. I'm glad to see our Florida folks are mostly safe and sound. We're thinking of the rest of you, and I'll talk to you guys soon.